Ja, good afternoon and thank you all for coming. Guten Nachmittag und schön, dass ihr alle gekommen sind bei dem wunderbaren Wetter, aber wir haben ja auch ein schönes Programm hier bei uns. This talk will be in English because Julia understands German, but I think feels much more comfortable in English. That's why we
Danke sehr.
yeah. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in German and we will I think you will understand anyway, otherwise we will try to translate all together. It's a big pleasure for me to have Julia Fabry, Dominique Bluher and Anne König from Spector Books here. Julia Fabry and Dominique Bluher are the curators of our exhibition that you probably have all already seen in the concrete hall, in the Betonhalle downstairs, about the work, about the installation work, about the third life of Agnès Varda. And we had the good fortune that Anne König from Spector Books liked our idea to do so, and that we had the chance to work together on a wonderful catalogue. I have to say it was a lot of work, and we forced them to finish before the exhibition starts so that we will be able to have the catalogue here, and succeeded. So I know it was a lot of work. It was not easy, but now it's a beautiful catalogue, and even what's in there is even more beautiful. So, I would love to invite you to have a look at it later and maybe take one home with you, because there are two longer text versions from Dominique and from Julia about their work with Agnès and about Agnès' work. But also a lot of quotes by Agnès herself about her work, about her installation work, her third life, how she called it herself. And Marlene Gewinner, who I guess is also there, she's here, is the graphic designer of that wonderful catalogue. She has put a lot of work and love into it, and Anne König fighted to put us all together with our different opinions and approaches. So here we are. Yeah. And I guess before we start and talk about the catalogue itself, I'd love to tell you why we wanted to have this exhibition here with us at Silent Green, and how the work with Dominique and Julia was. And I have to say, at Silent Green Filmfeldforschung, I don't know how familiar you are with the Silent Green and our work here. We have, almost in the beginning of when we started to do our program, at about 2015, we started to do our own programming here before we renovated the space. We came here in 2013 and found an old crematorium and thought this is a wonderful place, a peaceful place, but a place with a lot of history. We are sitting here in the morning hall, and we would love to do work that looks into the future but takes the heritage seriously that we are given. And so I think you just once said it, we are more or less guards of that place. And when we met with Dominique and Julia, it was very important for us that they understand what we are doing here and why we are here. And it was so luckily that you understood from the first moment on, and that you also agreed that Agnès' work would fit here perfectly, from the spirit that she brings to things, but also from the topics it fits perfectly. And that's why I would love to ask Julia and Dominique, I don't know who of you wants to start, to say a few words about their work with Agnès Varda, because you knew both Agnès very well, and also about the work that you have done here.
It's maybe, Julia, about the place, essentially, and the work.
Okay.
And as I like now to say, we are not curators, we are care waiters. And then I will say something more about the content, and then you can explain more how the content became the catalogue. This would be a proposition from my side.
Okay, good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry. It has been so much work to do those days, so I'm a bit müde now. But it's definitely a great pleasure to be here and to also to have this conversation, because we have been working from France, from Chicago, from Germany, and you were far also. So now to be together, it makes sense also to have a conversation about the work has been done. And as you said, Tina, it was very important for me to discover the place from the beginning and to imagine something from this building, from this history here, with Agnes's work. And Dominique was lucky enough to know the place before me, so she had ideas, especially for this place we are in. So she's gonna maybe speak about a bit about that, because it's special. But when I came, I just realized that we could bring really a storytelling about Agnes's work, in love also with the different architectures, different places all around the world, and this was so special that she deserved something special. So this exhibition is an answer to this meeting in time, I mean through us, through Dominique and I. And you can see that in this place on the floor there's a snake, and it was kind of an inspiration for me from the beginning, because it was the symbol about life to death, and this moment of passage that this place represents in some way. So I decided to make something about passage, going through things, passage from life to death, from being young to growing adult, and from still image to moving image. So I don't know if you had the chance to see the exhibition already, but it's really something that we kept in mind from the beginning. And then also we had to work a lot with the team here to build something as a scenography for this idea and this meaning. So the scenography is really related to the snake also, and to this idea of passage. So or you know already, or you will discover that you will have to go through one place, one room, from the left to another one, from the right hand side, and then and on and on. And I hope this feeling, this very special feeling, is important for the place, and it was very interesting for me to go in another direction with Anne, for example, for the book, because we had also to admit that the book is totally different, is another object, and the relation in between text and images will make sense, but in another dimension, if I may say. So, and just to end about the introduction, yes, I was working for more than 13 years with Agnès Varda, and I was very close to her. So for those years we were working together night and day. So I'm used to say that it was more 26 years than 13. But it was a great pleasure and a great journey. It gives me also that sensation that you can share very special things in life, much more bigger than images, and so it was something very special to work with her and to work through her look to the world and to people. I hope we will bring you to this dimension with the exhibition and the book.
Yes, I just want to add one thing. This particular place and Agnès. No, Agnès is not longer with us, and this place was devoted to people who are dying. But what is the place today is a really vibrant culture, multi-generational place. So this Agnès would have loved it. We said it so many times. This idea that because she was always interested in creation in the future, going forward, and not at all. But thankfully, Julia was doing that for her, looking in her archive and working. So it was always to move on, and this place is exactly what it is. And so there was also this symbolic connection that, to life goes on and her work goes on, and what you are doing here as a cultural institution is just magnificent. And the spirit, I mean, if you know the place, you know what I'm talking about. So I knew Agnès some 20 years, not night and day, a couple of nights. Started with the very late evening. And at one point I had a show in Chicago, and Julia came to set everything in motion. And this was like finding a sister, and our brains work really like as if we have met in another life, and it was extremely easy to work together and extremely inspiring. So for the catalogue, since I'm a scholar, among others, I'm also a mother and a wife, and so multiple facets like Agnès. But since I have written several articles about Agnès Varda's work, I worked a lot with her texts or her words. And for me, it was from the very beginning the main dish. So what for me really the most important part for the catalogue was to hear Agnès' words, because they are as inspired, poetic, simple, and deep like her work. And so for me it was really crucial to have this combination of her. And then there is a very beautiful interview she gave, and it's relatively unknown, with Philippe Piquet, where she explained pretty much in depth her transition of more also the fact that as her third life, it was also something that was already announced much more earlier. So photography, filmmaker, and visual artist, but when you see the exhibition or have seen it, it is always coming back in one form or the other, the moving image, the still image, some topics that she shares very much, etc. So that was for me the most important thing, and so I have a vast collection of quotes by Agnès Varda, and we made first with Julia a selection, and then Anne was also dipping in. Tina made also comments to have something that really speaks to the visual part of it, because it was also to have illustration, and then we ended up writing both brand new texts for the catalogue because we were so involved. Julia more from the curatorial aspect with the scenography, and while I was working on her quotes, I was just struck by the idea of reverie, and so it was for me an opportunity to develop the idea of reverie, and then at one point utopia was also another keyword, and luckily it was exactly the moment when she made her very first installation in 2003 for Utopia Station at the Biennale. And I think reverie and utopia for me are now some kind of major words that can summarize some aspects of her curiosity and hope and sharing aspects. So.
And maybe before we dive more deeply into the content, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself and maybe also Spector Books to people who might not know what you're doing, and then maybe how your interest in our project occurred.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting us here.
Thanks
also
here.
for collaborating together with this book. It was a pleasure and it was hard, but I'm quite proud of what we got out of it. And we actually have a longer relationship with Silent Green. We did already one book together in 2018 about Barbara Rubin, the filmmaker of the New York Underground, and it's also over there. I've seen it
on the table.
And when you ask us, I was absolutely happy because I admire the filmmaker Agnès Varda a lot. And so Malene, our graphic designer, had the same. She shared my interest or my passion for her. And so there was not really a second where I thought, no, we cannot do it. But I knew that the schedule was very tight. And that was something I knew from the beginning. But I thought, well, it's worthwhile. And as for all books we do, it's something we, of course, want to know more about the artist or the work, and so the book is always a good entrance or excuse to learn more about it. So what we have here now is what is called the third life of Agnès Varda, which is kind of true and untrue, I would say, because she, as you explained it already, had in her career at the very beginning, she was a photographer, and then she became a filmmaker, but at the same time she still worked as a photographer. And so and what she did in her late life, the third life, as an old woman, was something actually very much linked to her early works, I would say. So these intermingle relationship was interesting for us when we worked and thought about the concept for the book. And so I'm starting here now. We did this book in German and English, and also in French English, which you don't see here now. We have only one edition. Yeah.
Maybe for those who would be interested in the English-French version, we don't have it here for sale yet because it's almost just printed, but we will have it next week. So if there is anyone of you who needs it or who wants it, please give us an email and we will immediately send you a sign as soon as it is here in Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. No. Of course, there is a French community here, and I was about German and English because Berlin is a mainly English-speaking city for me. But it's not true, and we will work on it. So what we did actually in the book here, as you can see on the table of contents, we kept all French titles, the original titles of the works by Agnès. And actually it's a question to you both I had when I went through the exhibition. What was actually the selection for the works for you? What was your, concern about it, or what was your interest in? I mean, we took what you gave to us, of course, and we tried also to bring as much work in the book as we could, because we thought it's a very good opportunity to show the wide range of her work. So the book is more than, an exhibition catalogue. So, but what was your intention? What kind of works went into the exhibition and actually made it into our book?
You mean works or words? Works. Okay, works. Sorry. Just to make sure. As I said, I think the place here was so special that I really wanted to bring something, and we totally agree with Dominique about that, related to this theme of passage, which means really from death to life in many, many dimensions, or life to death, and also passage from being young, the childhood, to something else. And again, it's a theme that is really important in Agnès' work. So we were lucky enough to show many, many different kind of work, different media also. And this is also very important to understand that in her work it was also about passage from a media to another one, from a still image to a moving image, from cinema to photography and to video installation. So it's really something, each work is related to this idea, this notion. And from the outside also it's very important, because we had the opportunity to put, for example, this little grave, Gugu's grave, which is a video installation already exists in the Fondation Cartier pour l'Art Contemporain in Paris. But it was so nice to give this dimension to the audience from the garden outside with this you've got the perspective of the symmetry also, but it's a joyful work, very it's an animated video installation, and it's this relationship between those passages, the moment in time, and a moment of transition from one thing to another one is always very joyful in Agnès' work, very playful also. So it was very interesting for us to choose work in purpose, going to this direction.
Yeah, from another perspective, I can add that we both know her installation work extremely well. And so there are these pieces, we must have them. I mean, Julia explained that the choice was facilitated because it was very easy to make these choices. So we have all the major works, which really should be in any big exhibition about Agnès Varda. So we are not missing anything that is we could have added, but we were also inspired by the saying, less can be more, instead of over cramping and putting too many things to give, like I like to say, to give you the chance to walk, to create your movement and stand still. So that's not only in the image relationship between moving and still image, but also as an audience, you walk and you stand still, and then you are invited, or hopefully you feel invited, to start to daydream or to fantasize or to compliment or whatever you want to do with these pictures. And so all the major works are in there. And then what is extremely, because Julia also knows about her archives, and so she knew that what I totally ignored, that she had made this photo reportage. I mean, she had this commission to illustrate an article, but on the side she made also all these photographs from Dinkelsbühl, of the Dinkelsbühler. And so Julia took the time it's really hard because as if you have seen it, the contact sheets, now it's ginormous, but usually they're pretty small, and made this selection of these incredible pictures. And it's part of a long discovery that I think will take place, to discover these jewels that are still buried in her archive. But as I said, Agnès was not interested in digging around what she has done. So this is something like what Julia did and other people hopefully are going to do. So that was also very important for us when once Julia mentioned that, to have something specific for this place. So this is a world premiere, as is the tent. Agnès had started, let's say, a second series of film shacks, and the second series was inspired by the movies. So it was not only recycling film strips that were obsolete because everything is digitized, but they were always also using an object, a shack or shacky thing from the film to create one of her. And here, this is the other world premiere. Is she made the model, but she never had a chance to finish it. Only the one before that is inspired by Le Bonheur, and it's a greenhouse. And there is still one more model that hopefully will be realized at one day.
And to add something about to answer a bit more precisely to your question, Anne, I was more than happy to bring those images from Dinkelsbühl, Bavaria to the German audience here. I was thinking that it would really make sense, but again, it was something like more than 100 images. So I had to choose, but really in purpose, which images can fit to this series, to this place, to this exhibition, and it's again really related to this theme of passage. You will see childhood, you will see passage from the inside to the outside, or outside to the inside, and it's, if you follow the rhythm of those images, you will, I think, go more deeper in this sensation or feeling that we choose to emphasize. Yes.
And maybe, if I may add, that we as Silent Green are so lucky and so happy because, I mean, you know that this whole building reflects 20th century history so obviously, and with those photographs from Dinkelsbühl, you really get back into the time when this building was used as a crematorium also, so some more things, associations come up than just the ones that come up by watching her photographs, because they are here. And the same for me is that we also try to, I think, besides the word passage, it's for me also about life circles, because Agnès was also collecting things, reusing things, taking things again into new contexts and new work, and this is something that we also do. We take an old building with a completely different meaning, try to build something new, but go with it into the future, so also there things come together so wonderfully. And the potatoes, I don't know if you all know, but we have a roof garden. We grow some potatoes there now, but unfortunately they are not finished for harvesting right now. We have to take a little bit more patience about that, but we thought all this fits so wonderfully together. And one more sentence, then I let Anne again go, is that I really loved that we were having the possibility to make a book about it, because walking through an exhibition, it sometimes it will disappear soon, sooner than we would love to. But the book is something you can. When I came home with the book in my hand, it was really like having ein Schatz. I don't. A treasure, and because of your texts also that invite us with. You did not only write texts about Agnès' work or about curating, but you wrote in her spirit. So reading your texts gives me the feeling of being very close to Agnès, and this is really wonderful. And with her quotes. And there are many by herself, this comes alive, it builds a whole universe. So I can really invite you to have a look at the catalogue. It's something, it's not the exhibition, it's a catalogue, but it's not, as you said, a catalogue about an exhibition. It's a book and it's a treasure, and you have something that you can keep, and the spirit in it. I really am very grateful about that. Thank you.
Well, I'm just explaining a bit the idea of the book. What Marlene developed, she had a look at the works and the images at the beginning, and then she said it would be nice to have the idea of that Agnès Varda would live in the book. So with this first idea, she developed the concept for the whole book together with Dominique, who contributed with her selection of quotes. And the quotes, as you can see here, there are these little figures, which is Agnès in different stages of her life. The majority of these images are from you, aren't they? The portraits. And she's talking to us in speech bubbles, and it's a bit like in a comic, but at the same time very alive for the things she's telling us. And I think there is no book yet where she has her own voice, isn't it? Like that she has so many. I mean, you said to me she was not a writer. She was not someone who was no.
See.
She was a writer. The Catalogue of the Fondation Cartier is essentially her writing about her own work. No, she was a very gifted writer, but I always regret that in the scholarly side nobody has really paid attention to the poetic quality of voiceover. This is a genre part. It has still to be discovered, because it's a writing that has to do with poetry, has to do with information, but not in the simple sense, and the relation to image. And in the show you will have the chance to see, for example, Une minute pour une image, the connection between words and images. And Ulysse is a totally other proposition, but this gives you a sense when you listen to her commentary how poetic and informed and deep they are with a surface that seems very simple.
Yeah, and I think she was really concerned about writing, and this is also the reason why she invented this work, Sin Écriture, which is really meaningful for her work, and it reminds us also the voiceover, the beautiful voiceover that we have through all her movies. I mean, from the beginning until the end, she was really present in words. In her movie also, and she was a very good writer, as Dominique said, and very she was really difficult to work with, because she always wanted to find the exact word for each ideas and changing it from the beginning to the end. But it's true, definitely, that it's not so well known also. And we wish it could be more clear, because it was really huge in her work. Even if in the world of installation, it was also something very important. She was used to write a lot about the work before and doing it and after also. So it's interesting that we could also work on it with you, and with this very original proposition that you have made.
Well, I did not mean that she was not a writer. It was like, we had this talk where I said, oh, Jonas Mekas, he wrote so many texts also about other filmmakers, that was something. The type of writing, and you're absolutely
definitely.
right. You're absolutely.
She was writing for herself.
Yeah. And then we can see and hear, of course, in the exhibition. We acknowledged it, but just a few words about the image concept or the visual concept. There was this, as we already explained, the moving between. Photography and moving images, and which goes back and forth. And Marlene was trying to bring actually that idea back to the book, which is not that easy because we have no moving images in a book. And so she took this it's an example, as one of the installations, where the image in the center is still, and both images to the left and right, they're moving. So she took this shot here and this one, and then that's the other work, which is opposite to the Alice with the cows, and then she did this here. And so if you turn the pages, you can get a sense of that these are not kind of fixed images, or that they are moving. So this is something which goes through the book.
And this is an idea we found really, really interesting from the beginning, because it gives you also the sensation of a moving image from a still image. And Agnès was in love with those flip book, yeah. Also, that's why, sorry. And it gives you the sensation of movement, even if it's from still images. So going more deeper in this idea was really interesting to work with.
Yeah, and then we have these little figures here, And here again, one of these big works, The Widows of Noirmoutier, where we also try to have a bit of the talking of one of the widows. I mean, when you are there, you can only have or hear to or listen to one voice, and so we have like an example. We could not bring the whole work into the book, but at least you might get a sense of it. Actually, we are missing a bit of the image here of the spread, but yeah, it's in the book. We are only.
It's teasing.
Well, and these are also images from the installation.
There is one work that is not already built up, and that is not that we have not talked about yet. But this is also a very special work. We have the great opportunity to show a very important work by Agnès Varda here from the 10th of July until the 20th of July, only for 10 days. We have to excuse ourselves for that, but as you probably all know, culture doesn't earn money, but we all need funding, and we were funded by the Kulturstiftung des Bundes for this exhibition, but unfortunately not enough to let that exhibition stay longer and not to have it spread all over the place for the whole time. So from the 10th of July until the 20th of July, we will show Hommage aux les Justes de France, a work by Agnès Varda in the Cupola Hall in this place. And we all thought we have to show that work because it's built for the Panthéon in Paris, and yeah, we could not have shown it. We could not have shown it. So that's why we just do it. So please come back if you like and have a look when it is here. It is also in the catalogue, and maybe Julia or Dominique, you can explain
Dominique
a little bit about it.
had the idea to bring the back to you because she knew the place, as I said, and it's true that it's going to fit so perfectly with this cupola because it's nearby the architecture of the Panthéon in Paris, and this place is so special that it will be very meaningful also to put this work in Germany and to share it with you, since also it has been shown only twice. First in the Panthéon with the President Jacques Chirac at that time, and Simone Veil, really important in France on that topic. And then when I met Agnès, I had the opportunity and the chance to build it again for a place in Avignon in the south of France, a very old place, so it was a different also area, different way of seeing the work, but definitely here it's going to have another dimension, really. So I hope people will come to have a look on that. Dominique?
Yeah, it's incredible. This piece, everybody thought we will never ever be able to show it again, and then once again, thanks to Julia's persistence, and here, of course, die Gerechten, this has also a special meaning, and we will have also some historical background, not only about the French Jews, but also all the people who, even if they were not honored, because it's a special honor to get this label to be a Gerechte. There are so many other people who have resisted and helping the Jews to survive or to hide or to flee, etc. So this is a very special work, and of course for two reasons. A, because here is a commemoration and to think about people who are not longer with us for various different reasons, and then also because the Germans have also this sense of, I mean, at least certain Germans have a particular sensibility in regard to the history that has damaged our past so badly.
And I think in the book it's very interesting because Malin, thanks to Malin, we could kept also the sensation of the video installation, because it's a huge video installation. You're going to have the small version in a way because the Panthéon is a very huge place, but you have also this feeling in between still images, moving images, video installation, and different moments in time with people seen as juste and also unknown people. And Agnès was very concerned by the fact that each people has its importance. I think this work is really related to this notion also of being close to people, close to history also, but concerned and through different kind of images. So there's some documentation from that time and also images that she took and again images that she has made as a video installation.
But maybe we should open it to questions.
Yeah.
But you wanted to say something, maybe then afterwards we can open
No,
up.
I mean, I've seen a little kind of documentary in the exhibition about that work, and it gives you already a very kind of good introduction into the work, but of course it's not comparable with the real installation.
No, definitely, because the film you are speaking about is in the first room, I mean near the entrance, near the biography of Agnès, and it's the short film she has made about her third life, the 3 lives of Agnès Varda, and it's really a work for you to understand her life, meaning through arts and everything, and it's totally not an installation. It's great that we have it for people who does not know Agnès' work so well, so you can go deeper in her life and work. But to see this installation, for me, it's really something very, very special.
Just want to add, Arsenal has a film series, and also on one of their channel they have the Beaches of Agnès. That is a much more playful insight in her life, because it's an autobiographical, let's call it like that. Agnès made a film about her life, and if you want to know something less didactic, I can only highly recommend it to see this film, and there will be 2 screenings, and one of which Julia will also make the introduction.
When is it, Julia? Do you have the date?
Yes, but I don't remember.
So then you have to have a look at our program.
I know there's 2 screenings, and there's the first one those days, and I'm gonna come back for the end of the exhibition here, and I will present the last screening, and so I think it's the 17th of July.
Please have a look at the program if you're
please.
Interested. I also
Thank God
do
we
not
have
know.
everything in writing.
Today is the first screening, and somebody is going to introduce it. But the one I'm going to introduce is on the 17th, I think. Yeah, this is the last screening.
And I have the unfortunate too, because Agnès Varda made a film out of the videos she took for the videos of Noirmoutier, and it
so
was
bad that you introduced
she made
that.
it for Arte, but this is the only version where you can have German subtitles, not voiceover. That it should be an installation, but I hope I managed to explain the best possible the difference between an installation and the film. But it also was, once again, also financial reason, because if you make a film and you can sell it to television, you can make some money that you can invest in new projects.
Yeah, and just to make it clearer, I think it's exactly what you said, and it's very interesting to understand the work, which means that when you will have a look maybe on this video, a small video that Agnès has made, The 3 Lives of Agnès, she explains the work, and it's so interesting to have her vision and to understand that. But more than that, and I'm sure that if Agnès was here, she would say exactly the same. I'm totally sure of that. It's much more important for you to have the experience of the work of art. That's why it's so moving to have the Juste de France here, and so interesting also to have this deep experience with the widows of Noirmoutier downstairs in the Kupolhalle. I mean, it's totally different to improve with your body, your mind, and this really moving moment, one-to-one with each widow, but collectively, I mean, with all the people around you in this space built for this installation. And in the other way, you will have a different view on the work in front of a screen in a theater. I mean, cinema theater. So it's interesting, but to just keep it in mind, please.
Yeah, but nevertheless, I'm happy that you reminded us for the screenings at Arsenal. We always say that wherever you show a work, it changes. It's never ever the same. Even every screening in a film theater is different wherever you have it, with whom you have it, in which situation, may that be day or history or whatever. So this is something that Filmfeldforschung takes an effort to have a look at the different ways of perceiving and showing things and then seeing differences in it.
Something that we haven't thought about, but this is completely related to the guiding principle of passage. So when you go down, you are walking. And I can bet 100% that once you went through the curtain, you stand. So this is also walking. Stand still. And there are other moments like that you are using your gaze. So this is something that movie cannot do, and this was one of the things that Agnès was completely fascinated with. That it's an experience, but it's really, you have to engage as a moving person, moving physically, walking, moving, adding what she also called the Kopfkino. So to let your little cinema in your head work. So.
But now, are there questions, are there comments? Would you like to add something, ask something? Then please do. Auch gut.
We said everything.
Is there anything
everybody wants to run back and see
the exhibition, or to get the book finally and go in the garden or home or wherever and take it and spend time with it? Yeah.
We feel really lucky to have all those dimension things, object around Agnès. And speaking about Agnès' world, I mean, it's the exhibition is really huge. Everybody was working so hard to make it happen. We are very grateful for that, and that this book will continue to live.
Everybody was working very hard.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough. Thank you.
It is joyful. That's also. I mean, we are still recovering from all the work, but we have already the best return is that people love it and are fascinated, and so that is also Agnès Varda's spirit, the gift of giving. So
and we are lucky also to have books, because books are really important in our lives. So thank you for that, and thank you to continue this work, because today it's not so easy, I think, to keep those objects in our lives.
I can only say we are just having a construction site at home, and I could really get rid of everything, but then I saw my books. I couldn't give away any of genau. So have a new treasure for yourself for home. Genau.
Thank you.
Danke.
Thank you.
Thank you.